I admit I personally don't like attending meet and greets myself, but how often do you get to meet both Charles and Lewis at the same time? Hey, I'm Amanda, you're watching Girly Pop Go, and today we are talking about the Puma events that I got to go to during the Las Vegas Grand Prix, including when I met Charles and Lewis. I did also have the ability to meet Aurelia Nobles, but I don't like doing meet and greet. We'll talk about it, okay? But this event was very cool. I got invited by Puma, which was very nice of them. Puma actually sent me like 2 pairs of shoes and some shirts and stuff a couple of months ago, which was very nice. The event itself was celebrating the 20th anniversary of the partnership between Ferrari and Puma. So they had a whole line available that was like kind of like geometrical patterns of like the Ferrari stuff with the Puma logo and stuff. It looked cool. I liked it. It was fun. I did want to make the note that I obviously was like not working with Puma. I was not with Puma this weekend. They just invited us to come check this out. So we didn't get any interviews or anything like that. There was never any of that scheduled for us. They were like, yeah, come have fun, enjoy, which is very nice of them. And I wanted to make that note. Tuesday before the Las Vegas Grand Prix, I went out super early. I usually like to. All the Puma events for the weekend were all in the Puma Flagship store. I've actually never been to this Puma store, so it's pretty sick. It's like 3 stories. They had it all decked out. They had all their different collections, all the different Ferrari gear and things like that out. They had the Sonic gear out as well. They had the Ferrari car, one of the show cars, in the lobby as well, right at the entrance, which it is always really cool with the Las Vegas Grand Prix as well because of the way that the strip is laid out. You can like just wander and stumble upon an F1 car in various stores or hotels and casinos and things like that, which is very cool. So there was like a publicized event of like, oh yeah, the drivers are going to be here type of thing. Where we were was on the second floor, and this was not an influencer event. It was a media event is how I would personally classify it. There is a difference. The reason I call this a media event more than anything is that it was specifically there and the drivers were there to do media. Like there were a bunch of different scheduled interviews. The Ferrari media team was there. We are making it set up so that everyone that is working with Puma or Complex, other F1 creators, other different publications can like get their interview times or videos with our drivers in the Puma store. So we have the Puma branding surrounding everything. Also, the note I would make for like influencer event versus media event, there's no food or drinks. Obviously they won't because they don't want you making noise while people are doing their interviews. So like this event overall, very quiet. Very quiet on the second floor with everything because like when someone's doing an interview, you also don't want to be disruptive. Me and Marissa got there about 5. We messaged our contact. They gave us is my badge in the background? Yeah, my all access badge with the Puma logo on the background. Go up the escalator, and that's where I saw like a bunch of other F1 creators that were around. So we say hi to everyone. We're talking about who's getting what interviews, things like that. Charles and Lewis were not out there yet, and apparently what it was that one of the media people, one of the interviews was just kind of going a little longer than they had anticipated. I did feel bad because some of the people that were told they were going to be getting interviews, their times were cut, and then their times were cut entirely. So they were like, okay, I guess I'll get my interviews later. I make that note just because I want to make it clear that sometimes at events like this, even what you're told you're going to get, especially I think with the sport like Formula One, with how tight the F1 weekends are and how many moving parts there are and how many different players there are in the game. I'm not even talking about like with the drivers themselves, but like the actual like people working with the teams, with the drivers, with the brands, etc. There's so many different moving parts and different things that can be happening that schedules change on the fly. So like it's important to be very go with the flow, I guess, and also just very kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes. So like, even though I knew like I didn't have a scheduled interview, I was like, well, maybe we could get some questions in or something, maybe. But I was just kind of taking advantage of this experience and filming as much as I could in this area and getting goofy photos. Like at one point, Charles came out and I think they got one photo or an interview, and then they were like he was talking with the Ferrari team and like making plans or like discussing the schedule or something. I don't know. Could not hear, obviously. And so I got a photo with the mannequin and he's like right behind me. And that's what I sent to my friend. I was like, Charles is here. Which I thought was funny, and that's what's important. Also, for this event itself, I didn't know what type of content I would be making for this because obviously I have Girly Pop Go. We now officially have a Girly Pop Go TikTok page called Girly Pop Go XO because Girly Pop Go is taken. Officially have that page as well for short form content. Filming some landscape, some portrait. Normally for the channel, I film in landscape, but that's why there's going to be a lot of portrait footage because I really didn't know if I was going to make a sit down video about this. Taking as much content as I possibly could, enjoying it, talking with everyone, catching up with everyone. Aside from Marissa, I don't see most most of these creators outside of race weekends, so it's always nice to catch up with them. People that were motorsport creators, there were fashion creators that were here with Puma specifically, and then a bunch of different publications and all of that. Like the S's team was here. We'd all be like whisper talking or whatever, and then someone would be like, okay, I think my interview is this time. There was also an area where like they had all of the creators already had their tripods set up and their portable tripods. I will say this did make me realize I need to reinvest in a portable tripod for my phone. I have a tripod that I travel with. That's my travel tripod for all of my small entertainment stuff, obviously. However, I don't have a good like phone tripod that I really travel with just because I don't always do it. But for events like this, whether it's for the Osmo or whatever, I should have one that I can at least toss in my purse or a tote bag or something like that. They had their tripod set up, their phone set up of where they were going to film, and they were just like guarding their spot basically for the most part. Even then, some of those people I think didn't get their interview time. So a lot of people's footage ended up being other people getting their content and getting their interviews done just because they were like, okay, well, I hope I get my time, but I don't know, because also the drivers are on a limited time frame. So like you may have been promised by a publication or Puma or someone else like your interview time, but you know, the drivers may be like, yeah, we don't have enough time, or Ferrari's like, yeah, we have another dinner to get them to, you know, or something like that. McLaren team, I was told, I can't remember if they told me it was a class 1 or a tier 1 race. I believe class 1. What they call a class 1 race is by the demand of the sponsored tickets of like who wants to go for like from their sponsors and like the demand for tickets for the Grand Prix itself. A lot of sponsors for Formula One, obviously Puma's a major one for a lot of different teams. This was a big celebration with Ferrari, but they do sponsor multiple teams. Obviously they want to take advantage of like everything happening with the flagship store and everything like that. So there was like a lot of demand, but there's also a lot of other sponsors that are also doing a bunch of stuff in Vegas because it's a big race, obviously. It was very fun overall, and it was fun to see this setup, and I got, you know, you got to get your footage how you got to get your footage. So we have videos of me filming through the clothing rack and things like that, because sometimes when you get these opportunities, it is important, even if it's not like exactly what you may want or what you think you should be doing. I think it's always important to go and, you know, show up and make the most of it and to have fun. I did have a good time. You never know what could happen as well and what opportunities might arise from that. But what kept happening is that like they would appear and then they would like shuffle them over to one spot, get some content for what felt like a very small amount of time, and then they would disappear and then reappear at another spot in this second floor area. So there would be times where Charles and Lewis were together when they both first came out, and they were filming with, I think it was one of the Puma creators that was there with them. Lewis turned to all of us that were like filming and stuff and was like, hi guys. And Charles just went like, did the nod. Hi. And so everyone's like, hi, because we're just like watching them work. And like, that's the other thing that I talk about this, I feel like in every single video on this page. I am always hyper aware of the fact that like, this is my job. I am a content creator, you know, but like my job is to get the content. Their job is car. You know, their job is to drive, and this is just a part of their job, and so they're working. And for some drivers, some people in this sport, like this is not the fun part for them. Like they do want to drive, but this is the part that lets it so that they can be able to drive and that the team can make money and they can, you know, repair the wing when it gets just decimated so they have more money to do that, you know. So this is a part of the job, but it's for a lot of people, I think it's not their favorite part of the job. And so like I'm always hyper aware of that and making sure that I'm not the one that's making their job in that moment, whether it's their favorite part or their least favorite part or their mid part of their job. I'm always hyper aware of making sure I'm not the one that's making it harder. And so I'm just like quietly like, hello, like making sure like they can see my face. My phone is down here. Hi. Hello. Filmed quite a bit, but I was up and down with my phone because I do like to, you know, be in the moment and talk with people and meet people.
They once again walked away. They're behind me. But we look cute, and that's the important thing.
Okay.
Again, shorter and both taller than I thought.
Louis already jump scared me because he moves really quietly.
They were like, hey, if you want a photo, come line up. And they had like the stanchions set up while they were filming in front of the wall.
We are in line for photos. This lighting is insane. I'm actually not looking forward to this lighting.
Oh yeah, it's like pretty fun.
I'm gonna take a photo like this.
Once you've done meet and greets yourself where like people are meeting you, not that it's weird, and I want to make it abundantly clear because I love doing meet and greets. I love meeting viewers in that way. You become hyper aware of like the true awkwardness of a meet and greet. Viewers, it's like, or for fans in this instance, you know, like for them, it can be like a really big deal. And for the other person, like it can be uncomfortable or awkward. A Tuesday, this was a Tuesday, you know. For myself, I normally don't like doing meet and greets anymore, like as like a viewer or fan perspective, just for myself. It's just something that it feels wonky now, you know. But this was like a, you know, get the photos, get it done. I do know my friend Hannah would have killed me if she found out that I had the chance to get a photo with both Lewis and Charles simultaneously and I didn't. She would have hunted me for sport. And they were very clear. We could not film. We also could not take the photos ourselves. We could not take photos for each other. We only had so much time before they had to go do more stuff upstairs. I was filming while I was in line. Everyone is kind of like, I'll get photos for you. I'll get videos for you. I gave her the phone and I walked up and I said, hey boys, are we going to win this weekend? As I was getting into position, because it's really quiet while everyone's doing this. And I'm going to be totally frank with y'all. I don't get starstruck by a lot of people. I really never have. Not really. Figured that if anyone were to get me starstruck, it would be someone like Lewis Hamilton, frankly. I figured it would. Alas, no. These are two dudes to me. Like, they're two dudes that I admire a lot. They're race car drivers. They do a job that I love. They're part of a sport that I love. These are also two dudes, you know? And I can't turn that off. So that's fun. I figured it would be them that would like be like, oh my God, we gonna win this weekend? What's going on? Cool to meet them. Like, it was like, even in this instance, like in my brain, it doesn't feel like I'm meeting them. It feels like I'm doing a drive-by. Like, it feels silly. Someone giggled and someone said, I don't know. Or someone said, gonna try, or something like that. It happened so quickly. They're talking. The person taking the photo is talking. It happened so quickly. So could be mixing up words. I am not quoting anyone directly. I don't know. I definitely said, hey boys, are we gonna win this weekend? Okay, and I heard little giggles. Evidently, my question did not light a fire under their butts. I don't know what's going on at Ferrari. That's not what the point of this video is. Film for Marissa. And the person who took our photo, I didn't get her name, but she was great. She took like a bunch of photos, like really rapid fire, and was like, okay, cool, bye, go. They brought Lewis and Charles upstairs again. And so because we had full access, we were able to go upstairs as well. And then we were put behind a stanchion. And what it was is they have like an embroidery and customization area in the flagship store. And they were having the guys like design their own layouts and stuff. Hung around for a little bit, got a little bit more content. They had the whole Sonic the Hedgehog collection up there as well. So I was like getting a couple of videos of that as well. Yeah, we just kind of wrapped up. It was 6:30. We had some dinner plans, you know, so we headed out. I was also invited to the next day to Aurelia Nobles' meet and greet and event with Puma at the same Puma store. Aurelia is in the Ferrari driver program. However, she also drives the Puma car for F1 Academy, or she did. At the time we were recording this, F1 Academy is officially done for the season. Dorian Penn is the champion for 2025, and Aurelia has hit her second year in F1 Academy. Excuse my dog barking. Oh, Hermes. This year did mark the end of Aurelia's 2 years in F1 Academy. At the time we were recording this, it still is the 2-year rule. 2027, they are talking about making it so that you can basically get like a waiver so that you can do it for a third year if you're showing true promise, but you haven't won the championship and things like that. I'm going to be honest, I still don't know how I feel about that. I'm still like percolating on that one. But Aurelia is at 2 years, but she was driving the Puma car for the last 2 years. And though I liked the Puma car last year, I loved the livery this year. It was so sick. They had like a full-on Puma livery. And so this one was much more like, this was on the ground floor. This was much more fan open. They had a couple of creators that were there to film some stuff with Aurelia. Tiggy of Paddock Project did the Q&A portion of the meet and greet itself. I love a geographic-based detail in a store or an event. And they had a bunch of like game tables, like casino tables set up, and that's what they were using instead of just like regular retail displays, which is very fun. I like that a lot. They also had like all the different like Las Vegas stuff around for all the logos and stuff. They also had a specific F1 Academy Puma shirt that had all of the races for the season on the back of it and stuff, so I was able to get one. They also had posters for the meet and greet. That's what Aurelia was signing. So it was really cool that they did not just an event for Lewis and Charles, but also an event for Aurelia as their driver. That is very cool. Cool to see just the variety of fans that were there for her. That's always something that I really like with F1 Academy, because there's some people that are like, oh, only women like F1 Academy. And that's just straight up not true. Obviously, F1 Academy is for women and girls specifically, but the fan base for this sport and motorsports is so diverse, and motorsports as a whole is gender neutral. And so that's always really cool to see like it actually like exhibited in person like that. And that happened inside the Puma store. So that was cool. I did skip the meet and greet portion with Aurelia. I'm sorry. I couldn't couldn't do it. I don't like it. I don't know. But I filmed most of the Q&A. One thing that I really liked that Aurelia shared is that she was actually like consulted and actually got to help with designing the car this year. At the time you're recording this, there is no announcement for Puma's driver next year. I think they're still having a car next year. There's still going to be 18 cars on the grid next year for F1 Academy 2026. McLaren's now going to have 2 teams. We have Lego joining the grid. I believe Puma is still going to have a car as well, but at the time you're recording this, they have not announced which driver will be in that seat, and I'm excited to see who she's going to be. As much as I hate to see a lot of these drivers go, and I hated to see the drivers go last year when they hit their 2-year mark, I am excited to see new drivers come in. All in all, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Puma, for having me. Excited to see what happens for the rest of the season, and also excited to see what happens next year, obviously. I'm really excited for the new regulations. I'm going to be honest. Some things stress me out, but I also love mess. So I'm intrigued. Okay, bye.